Hello. I should have got water before I came over here, but I will definitely go there soon. How's it going, peeps? Yeah, so I saw this question a while ago. By the way, I'm playing music. Maybe I'll quiet it down a little bit. Definitely quieting it down for me. Hmm. Okay, oh, that's not... I also need to change the camera a little bit. Okay, that should be good. So, future of cloud. That's interesting. Okay, hi. How's it going? So, hopefully, hi. Hello, Arshia, how's it going? Sorry if I say your name wrong, Sabine or Sabin. So I tried for many posts. I think that means job. Tried for many jobs, but did not get any calls back. I have done many projects. What is the problem? Can I guide you? So, I'm answering this first question here that's in the chat, and everyone, when you come in, feel free to write questions, whatever you have. Don't worry at all. So, I can give you some suggestions for sure. So, assuming you're talking about you applied to some like data science, machine learning jobs, and feel free to further clarify as I'm talking. Well, so if you didn't get any calls back, so you're saying you gave them your resume, and actually this music is distracting me, so I'm actually just gonna pause that. Yeah, music is too loud. Yeah, okay, I figured. I was watching the bar and I was like, it seems like an okay volume, but I can't really tell. Music is down. So, anyways, yeah. So you sent out your resume, and nobody responded back. Well, let me tell you for sure that that's extremely common for everybody. So do not worry too much about the fact that that happened. Of course, if you're in a situation where you need a job, of course you need to get that figured out, of course. But I just said of course like 4 times. But what I'm trying to say is like don't really worry about it too much. Being sad or annoyed about it doesn't really help anything. But of course there is lots of things that you can do to combat this. First of all, I would really check the obviously the presentation of your resume. That's what people would say, and feel free to actually send me an email of your resume. My emails should be on my YouTube channel somewhere. I can tell you if you want to do that, and if you give me permission, we can actually go over. I'll obviously get rid of any details you don't want people to see, like your address and anything like that. If you wanted, we could actually pull that up and talk about that. If you wanted, I could just take a look on the other screen to not show anybody any information. So that's how I would give the best result there. And that's how it would best help everybody else watching as well. But in general, some pointers are, aside from the technical details, of course, everyone would say there's many technical details, like skills that you need to have. Python being the #1 programming language, probably. The frameworks, pandas, TensorFlow / Keras, PiTorch if you're a PiTorch person. I'm saying that because I'm not, but actually my company might switch to that, so maybe I will be. You need to know those common frameworks in Python. If you're in data science, pretty much the standard. And okay, awesome. I'll get to that question soon. And that's the skills I would recommend, like bare minimum for sure. And of course, there's many projects. But thank you for the nice, yes, I'm talking about the best programming language, Python, and I'm wearing a hat for Python. Yeah, so basically, if you send your resume out so many times and you don't get any responses back, really, I would #1 check the just English and presentation of your resume, ignoring the whole style, assuming you have some basic skills. If you don't have any data science skills, then I mean, that's probably why you're not getting any hits. But I would assume that you do if you're applying. or at least something, some sort of project. And I would just really, really make sure that like when you look at it, you just think positively. And I know that sounds a little bit silly, but seriously, like if I go to Google Images right now, I'm not going to for copyright reasons, but if I was to do that, then I would, and I Googled like data science resume, there would be a bunch of them that I look at without reading anything, and I look at it and they look good, and other ones they look at it, there's little white space, there's just too many words, and I just don't like it. So like rating, you want to look at it and give a rating like out of 10, at least like a 7 out of 8 in your mind. It doesn't always look perfect, but you really got to focus on aesthetic, just because human minds really work like that. If you're happy once, you're very welcome, by the way. Prachi or Parachi. Sorry, I'm gonna try and say names more. I purposely don't because I don't like butchering the saying of people's names, but I'm gonna try. So yeah, where was I? Yeah, so basically you want to make sure it looks good, and then after that, your resume, you really, really gotta narrow down on particular skills. Have it at the very beginning. You want it to look good, and then talk about the things that you know that people actually need, both for the people looking at your resume as well as for anyone that's just stopping by. I'm talking about basically resume critiquing advice and responding to the first question. And essentially, you need just a block of skills at the beginning that are standard. Okay, it's, of course, you want your resume to stand out from the crowd, but also it better say really obviously that you know Python and that you know machine learning frameworks, as well as if you have any sort of like extra like depth in there, so like computer vision or natural language processing. If you've done some of the more neural networks type stuff, like convolutional neural networks and LSTM, GRU. My LinkedIn post talked about the softmax layer today. Even talking about any of that stuff, especially deep learning, I hadn't even said the word deep learning. I would really, really, really recommend that you do that. Probably regardless of who you are, if it's just a data analytics role and there's just really SQL and maybe some basic regression stuff, maybe not quite necessary, but I would definitely push for the deep learning stuff as well and make it very obvious at the beginning of your resume, make it look good, make it just read well. For both, that helps both the algorithm as well as everyone reading it. And if you want further clarification on that, anyone here, if you are comfortable, go ahead, send me your resume. Like I know Krishnaik was doing this a bunch. I'm happy to do it as well. Basically, send me your resume, even right now, and we could pull it up on the screen if you are comfortable with that, as deleting any information that is actually really important, like your address and anything like that. We could do that. Or if you wanted, again, I could put it on the other screen so that nobody ever sees your resume. And we could talk about that as well. Okay, so that answers hopefully the first question. Let me know, Sabine, I'm guessing, if you need any help there. Future of cloud. Well, everything's going to be cloud. And I mean, everything already is cloud. I mean, yes, we do have GPUs in our computers, our local computers, for training models. At least some of us do. My computer has an RTX 3060, and so I bought that on purpose so I can train models here. But nonetheless, at work, this does not fly. Like, we're dealing with a massive data set that doesn't fit in memory. We're using literally a batch size of 1, which, if you don't know what that means, basically it means that for the training example, for supervised learning, we pull in training examples into the main memory of our computer. We pull it off disk into main memory, and it can only fit or actually perform on one single training example, which is very slow. And so if we used cloud, if we did GCP, Google Cloud Platform, AWS, Amazon's Azure, or just the idea of cloud as in like I'm doing an SSH into someone else's computer, that's really all cloud is most of the time, or a GUI, then pretty much everything's cloud. So learn it, basically learn it. Go ahead, check down below. I have materials around step 4, step 5, which is what I recommend to learn cloud, and any certifications are very helpful if you are trying to get a job in data science, machine learning, or just programming as well. Hello. Yes. Thank you, Arshia. Okay, so any resource for in-depth intuition of machine learning algorithms, both mathematical and statistical. Um, okay, so I mean, if you're this, it's, the phrasing is a little bit, and I'm not trying to trying to pick on this. I'm just trying to make sure I understand the question because intuition and in-depth understanding are definitely different things. Like intuition is kind of getting a feel for how it works. In depth is like really understanding how it works. So for intuition, I would definitely recommend well, I mean, down below is my pathway on how I really learn that stuff. So if you wanna learn that well, it pays off. The certificates are fantastic. My pathway in the description is how I would recommend that. If you don't want to do that route, which I recommend, and you just wanted like maybe a lighter intuition, I always recommend the 100-page machine learning book. At least I have recommended it since I read it, which wasn't that long ago, I guess. But the 100-page machine learning book is not 100 pages. It is like 140 pages, but it is fantastic. The author just wrote it really, really well. Like books and all this material, it really just matters who is saying it. And so that's why, I'm okay making a, data science channel, even though others already exist, because I really try to focus on communicating stuff properly. So, I took a lot of inspiration from the 100-page ML book on how to just explain this stuff very simply. So I would recommend that for sure. As well as if you really want to go heavy duty, Elements of Statistical Learning / Introduction to Statistical Learning are two books that people would commonly recommend, as would I. The Python hat is awesome. You're very, very welcome. You're still very welcome. So I've started to learn machine learning a few days ago. Can you guide me on which topic I should start making projects? Oh boy. Okay. So if you just started to learn machine learning a few days ago, I've guessed that you're not really with machine learning, you get a particular feel for it at some point. Where, unless you ask for it, I'm not going to talk about this right now, although it could help. Starting with projects is fine. It's an interesting idea, although do realize that you might get flustered, and if you get annoyed and fed up with the content and discouraged, then I would highly recommend starting with the pathway that I have down below, taking your time, just feeling comfortable with the ecosystem before moving on, and then start making your own project or start implementing other people's projects, like the ones that I have. I have a playlist of like 12 data science projects that I would recommend watching through. Pretty much all of them are standalone, so you don't need a particular order to that, although the LSTM and forecasting is a little bit more complicated. And so I would do that after the pathway, maybe, or somewhere in the middle. If you want to start off with projects, and I mean it's a common question, should I start off by doing data science projects? My answer is yes, if you're happy with that, and if you're feeling any sort of annoyance, then no, I probably wouldn't. But to actually answer the question, can I guide you on which topic you should start making projects? Whatever interests you, for sure. So however you got to this field, if it is about, you found out that data science is probably going to pay a fair amount of money, like if you learn machine learning and deep learning, you're probably going to do pretty well. Then that means, I'm not gonna judge that. That's totally fine. Although I wish there's a little more. I hope it's enjoyable as well. That's all I'm trying to say. And yes, I'm judging on something that hasn't even been said, and I realize that. I just know it's a common thing. But essentially, with the projects that I would start, or the topics that I would start on, are not really computer vision, not really natural language processing, not really forecasting. Regression, it's predicting continuous values, maybe a simple binary classification, which is like, spam or not spam. So the projects that I have in my playlist, watch the beginning, get a feel, or scroll through and see what I'm trying to talk about, and that's the idea, is these either predicting continuous values, with a neural network, with a random forest, with all these many different algorithms. Definitely get a feel. So I just made 2 videos. I would very, very highly recommend, if you haven't gotten a chance to check those out, which is implementing simple linear regression from scratch and implementing multiple linear regression from scratch would be a really good start. Okay, do you think Metaverse will impact in AI projects in some way? What is capital Metaverse? You don't mean Meta? Do you mean Meta like Facebook's new thing? Is that what you're talking about? I'll answer that after you confirm if that's okay. Where can I practice complex SQL questions? Complex SQL questions. Well, Leet Code actually does have SQL. I'm not sure if it's the 100% best resource. Um, I can tell you right away, and I absolutely recommend like practicing if that's what you want to do. Then 100%. I can just let you know that I haven't really, in all of the 30, 40 interviews I've had, I probably haven't been asked any too difficult SQL questions. So it might be a little bit of a, not waste your time, because SQL is very important, but maybe not the best use of your time to just drill in very complicated SQL questions. But I'd recommend Leak Code. I assume HackerRank probably has them. And I don't know if, yeah, those are probably what I would say. And I would take a look online as well. SageMaker, which is AWS for anyone listening. Of course. Microsoft Azure or Google Machine Learning. Can you get more specific on like which part of these? So which model deployment slash training cloud resource do I like? Is that what you're asking? For an imbalanced data set, oh, this is gonna get, yeah. So basically, at work, I've been dealing with an very imbalanced data set problem for a couple months now, and it's very interesting. So I have a pretty good idea of how you would combat that. For an imbalanced data set, if doing oversampling doesn't improve anything, what should I do about it? Well, you can use so neural networks. They are keras, TensorFlow keras, allows you to specify class weights. So just so I don't like answering questions without giving a broad summary, so that I feel like everyone can get value from this. Basically, what an imbalanced data set is, and that automatically implies that you're doing probably a classification problem where you're choosing between. Correct me if I'm wrong. Where you're trying to classify between, say, this email is spam or not spam. And that's actually a good example of probably an imbalanced data set, because I would assume that more emails are actually, would you say that more emails are spam or not spam? Someone tell me the answer for that. My mind was saying that a lot more emails are not spam, but actually that might not be true. But any imbalanced data set where basically you're trying to do a classification problem, you're trying to choose between class A and B, or classify it as something as A or B, and there's just a lot more training examples, and so we train machine learning algorithms with supervised learning, which means we give it pairs of like an example, like an input, and then a label, whether that thing was spam or not spam. We have many of these in the data set. But an imbalanced data set would mean, well, we have many more examples that are labeled, say, class A, and a very small subset that are labeled class B. And that's an issue because machine learning algorithms are going to be very biased in general. You can say in general they have a tough time because they haven't seen many B examples, but in particular they're often biased towards picking the example that is much more that you've seen that's much more abundant to the class A. So that's a big problem, and there's a bunch of weird ways that you can combat this. Basically, neural networks, how you're allowed to choose the class weights for examples, and there's a way to calculate that. There's a really good TensorFlow blog that I would recommend that goes over all of that stuff. I also have a project that I don't think I actually brought up that technique in particular. I brought up other ones in my project playlist. I forget what I titled it, but it was on the data set for credit card fraud transactions. So basically, there's a lot more not fraudulent transactions than there are fraudulent transactions. And so you combat that. You could specify the class weights for the examples, which basically means no, pay attention more. So we set a higher class weight to the imbalanced part, or not, the less abundant part, the smaller subset. If you pay more attention to those within Keras, you set the higher class weight, that's going to help combat that. You said oversampling. Basically, what oversampling would do is we would just kind of duplicate the data set until, or there might be variations of this, but basically what you would do is duplicate the less abundant data sets over and over again. You have many of those exact same examples until it's about the same size as the other class as well. So that helps as well. Oh my gosh, Arshia, thank you for the 279 donation. That's fantastic. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. And so, oh well. Okay, so where was I? Yeah, so those are two ways you would do that. Class weights, oversampling. You already said oversampling. What else can you do? If it's computer vision, you can do lots of data augmentation. If it's not, there's kind of weird ways to do other sorts of data augmentation that's very similar to oversampling techniques, but it might help as well. And that's all I can think of right now. I'll let you know if something else comes on my mind. Big fan. I appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot. Do you feel that learning JavaScript? Well, I can tell you that I don't know JavaScript. Keep that in mind for the person that I am. Do I feel that learning JavaScript is important for data science when you are deploying models using Flask? Is JavaScript also included? Sort of, kind of, basically. So the purpose of JavaScript will, although because so many people learn it, they actually write other scripts with it, just kind of for dealing with really anything, kind of like what Python does. But the main purpose of why JavaScript exists and will always exist probably is just to manipulate front-end web applications. Like, so you go to Chrome, you go to a website, and JavaScript code will actually make it pretty. Of course, HTML is actually slash CSS is actually what's being shown on the screen, but JavaScript kind of allows for interesting animations and nice websites as well. And so, is that important for data science? If you want it to be important for data science, is really my answer. Like, I would probably say no for the most part, and I don't have anything against JavaScript. Like, I'm saying I don't know it. I've read a book in JavaScript a few years ago. Whoa, where did that come from? Whoa, thank you for the 4.99, Shazeb. I hope I'm saying that name right now that you just gave a massive $5 donation. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. I always I always get distracted by not that donations are common for me, but I get distracted by them a lot. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Um, and so yeah, so JavaScript basically. By the way, make sure to ask any question, Shazeb, and I'll give it a. I know you just said big fan. I really appreciate that. I'll answer any question you ask, 100%. Same for everybody though. So basically, yeah. Do I care about JavaScript for data science? I don't really. Like, it would help you make better websites if you're trying to stand out, and you're trying to make a Flask app. By the way, for those that haven't watched me too much, I highly recommend learning Flask. I have a Flask video that did very well on my channel, so it's a very important thing to do because that allows you to actually deploy machine learning or data science models on the internet for free, basically. So, do I recommend making your website super pretty? You can make it pretty if you want to make it pretty, but I don't really care personally. That's not what I try to show off in my data science, but go for it. Okay, yes. Okay. Okay. You're very welcome. Could I recommend any course slash certifications for someone starting out in data science and looking for a job? Uh, yes. Okay, so yes, I will. So for anyone looking for a job, and I mean, I assume that's probably why a lot of you are here, because data science is a great job, and it's not super easy to obtain, but I do have a really nice pathway to do that. My if you want, basically, if you know you have to leave soon, that I would just take away that I would really follow the pathway that I have down below. But I don't like to just always direct you to that pathway. Um, I like to explain why I'm talking about these things. So the summary is that you need to get a solid foundation and just a good feel for everything that's going on. Some SQL, Python with data science, the libraries, NumPy, Pandas, and so on. And so something like the IBM Data Science certification or Google Analytics, which is the start there, is a really good option. After that, I really, really, really recommend that you learn machine learning. And again, these first three certificates I'm going to say, I really highly recommend getting these certificates. They've helped a lot of people that I know. Seriously, like they really have. So, and there's a reason I don't go boasting about like other you know other education platforms. I truly believe in this pathway, both for the learning material, which is all free, by the way. All of the learning material is free, but the certifications are great. And so IBM Data Science, Google Analytics is first, and then after that, I would definitely learn machine learning. Pretty much every employer I know knows the Andrew Ng machine learning course, and they do like it when they see it on people's LinkedIn's. And your LinkedIn is everything. If you don't have one, go get one. If you have one and it's not pretty, go make it pretty. And those certifications are a good way to make it pretty. So specifically the IBM Data Science, Google Analytics, Andrew Ng machine learning, and then the deep learning certification. If you can get that on your LinkedIn, I'm not trying to say like you'll get a job if you have your deep learning certification on there. Lots of people have it on there, but it really, really does help. Seriously, I've watched it help many people. Okay. And then after that, the pathway basically just gets more complicated, and you can take a look. But you can stop at the deep learning specialization / TensorFlow specialization. What drugs you already used? As a backend guy, how can I maintain my job and learn data science at the same time? Um, as a backend guy, how can I maintain my job? What do you maintain your job? Maintain your job and learn data science at the same time. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, so that's a great question, Nava. Again, always correct me if I'm saying your name wrong. I'm going to say Nava. So basically, you have a job that's probably working 9 to 5 hours. That's great. You know programming, quite obviously. And so that's when I really think Coursera kicks in, is when all that stuff down below, I would just pick away at it. You don't have to power through. You have an hour a night, just watch a video before you go to bed. Get the mobile app on Coursera. Just watch one of their 8-minute videos or a couple of their 5-minute videos. You'll start to really learn this stuff over time, and most importantly, you're just going to get more and more interested in it, as I assume you are. And since back-end programming is probably a fine job, I would think. And so obviously, if you're interested in this, I would get the mobile app to start watching a video before you go to bed every night. Just looking at some code if you can. So I hope that helps. I would definitely consider Coursera as a good option, and the stuff I'd suggest learning is down below. You're a math teacher. Awesome. We appreciate you. Nitish, I think. Since 6 years, I want to switch careers in data science. What certificate should I have done? Okay, I hope I answered that. Just to make sure I answered that. Down below is the pathway, the first 3 or 4. IBM Data Science, people love. Google Analytics, people love. Most particularly, Machine Learning by Andrew Ng and Deep Learning Specialization, also by Andrew Ng / Deep Learning AI. Those are the certifications that you should do. I would take a look in the description there if that's what you're interested in. Hi, I'm a computer scientist with no experience in data science. Okay. I'm going back to university to course a post-graduation. Wow. Okay. A post-grad in data analytics and science. So do I think it's a good path to get a job later? Absolutely. Yeah. I think that would really help. I'm not sure if that's enough on its own. Like if you really isolate, any sort of academics, unless you get up to like a PhD, and even then, that there's a particular amount of stuff just on your own that you should be learning. But absolutely, I think that's a good path, and I think that will help you a lot. I would still, if you aren't super familiar with the content that's in the description down below, either that particular content or the ideas that are in that content, machine learning, deep learning in particular, I would still probably try to add that as well. I guessed you're from India. Hello. Um, Thumbs up. You're awesome. Appreciate it. I work on extract, transform, load tool, and SQL with very basic knowledge of Python. From where can I start on data science? Yeah, so I mean, of course, I actually, by the way, I don't recommend my own channel very much, not at all, because I don't think it's a good resource. I mean, of course, I'm plowing putting a ton of effort into making it an awesome resource for everybody. And so, of course, I would recommend that as well. I don't really like to say like, go to my channel, go to my channel, go to my channel, because you're already here, and I really appreciate that. Of course, I think there's a lot of material there. My playlist for data science projects would be very helpful, as well as it's like learn the libraries I have as well, which is pretty much a tutorial on all of them. I plan on making a Scikit-Learn, a particular tutorial. There's a lot to cover though, which would be beneficial as well to, I assume you said, yeah, so very, very basic knowledge of Python. That pretty much teaches, and I also have, a basic Python course, sorry, not machine learning, Python course, that covers, a fair amount of Python knowledge, probably more than very basic. Then after that, I'd learn the libraries, NumPy, Pandas, that playlist I have, and then probably my projects as well. And of course, all the material down below I think would be great. Why do I'm kind of confused with how I'm reading it. Is that a copy paste? I feel like I've read that before. Yes, okay. Please try to only write the message once and make sure that, wait till it goes through, because it gets very confusing for me. But if it's an error, don't worry about it too much. I am a third-year undergraduate student wanting to learn data science. Is Coursera IBM Data Science course very good? I'm guessing that you heard my answer is yes. I love it. It's the very first step I have in my pathway in the description of this video, or in the live stream. What's my opinion of 365? I got an ad for that today. I don't know what it is. 365 data science program. Quite honestly, there's a lot of these different programs that I really don't know that well, and I kind of stick with Coursera because it's not only it's like the OG, like it's pretty much how Andrew Ng really revolutionized people learning machine learning, and that course is still the best course that you can take in my and many other people's opinions. Nonetheless, I'm not going to discredit other programs. I can just tell you I don't know what it is. I got an ad for it showing, Ken G and what's her name? Forgetting her name. Around 150K subscribers. Worked at Google. Makes YouTube videos. And somebody else. What is my opinion on the Udacity Nano degree? So I forget in particular which one that is. If you can, I'm not sure if you can send links. Let me see what comes up with that Udacity, because there's no way. I assume Udacity Nano degree, like under data science, is what it's called. I'm just looking it up on, why is that Code Academy? Code Academy and Udacity aren't the same thing, are they? No. Udacity Data Science Program. Is that it? Become a data scientist. There we go. Okay. I'll download. Oh, it's bombarding me with ads over here. Sorry. I'm trying to download the syllabus. It's making me do a bunch of things before I can download the syllabus. But if I can look at this quickly, I would say it would help for sure. It's just not the thing that I would recommend, and I'm sure other people would recommend it. But I think the Coursera pathway I have down below is just a better option, most likely. I haven't taken it, so I can't confirm, but that's definitely my guess there. Yeah, the reaction. Well, yeah, I was like, I don't know what to say, man. In interview to how much depth they ask questions from the RCNN family. Matt, yeah, that is what I thought you were referring to. Okay. So basically, what is it? This is, sorry, Bejoy, I think. I think that's how you say that. Um, I think they're asking questions on basically slightly old school object detection methods, I believe is what those are. Because I think YOLO. So I haven't done too much. Interestingly, actually, we're starting an object detection uh, project today or yesterday at work, so I'll be doing that very shortly. Although I have read some of the research papers for the object detection family, which is what you're referring to. Uh, to answer the question quickly, in interview, how much depth they ask questions from these papers that came out around 2015, 16, 17 on object detection. I haven't been asked that, and I have a computer vision job where I'm about to do object detection, and they knew that that was a possibility beforehand. So I don't know. It might come up if in a very tough job. It may come up, but I wouldn't really worry about it too much. Nonetheless, I think it's a great thing to learn about. If you can read those research papers or watch videos of people explaining those papers, then that would be very helpful. Yes, please make lots of end-to-end projects. I absolutely will, Rohan. Um, Usama, I think. I am an operations research student. I don't think I know what that means. Operations research. Let me give that a quick Google search to bring my brain up to speed. Um, that deals with the development and application of advanced analytical methods to improve decision making. Well, that just sounds like a data scientist. How is there another data science term? I'm looking at a loop of real system, identifying a problem, setting the scope, constructing a mathematical model, deriving a solution, testing it with real data. That just sounds like a machine learning engineer. Does that mean machine learning engineer or data scientist? Um, if it okay, I'm gonna assume it does. I am an operations research student and learning data science. What? I'm so confused. Should I focus only in data science or should I learn some nice skills like Photoshop? I mean, unless you have a reason to learn Photoshop, I wouldn't learn Photoshop. I know some of those types of techniques because I make thumbnails for videos, but that's the only reason. Um, for freelancing, or can you freelance with data science? Yeah, so data science is actually a really good opportunity to do freelance because with data science, you don't necessarily have to know much at all about the particular domain. Like you can kind of hop in, like for example, if you get a call from like a forestry people or like I don't know construction people. I don't know why do I always say construction when I'm talking about this same example. But some random industry they have a job for you, um, and you don't have to know much of anything about that. You can just offer up your skills of machine learning so you can tap into their SQL database easily. I mean, securely, not just tap into it. And make any sort of machine learning model because you know the deep learning framework. Like, okay, they're trying to do this. That's a computer vision problem. That's an object, we'll say actually image segmentation problem. And I know how to solve that if I just need this, and that from them. You'll ask that and you can make that for them. Same thing with just programming in general. You really don't have to know too much about the ecosystem. You can kind of hop right in. So yes, you can freelance with data science. Nonetheless, I don't want to advertise this as an easy thing where you just kind of put on your LinkedIn freelance data scientist and expect to get a bunch of calls or expect a bunch of calls back when you throw some offers out there. So take it or leave it. My advice there, it's a possible option, although you'll have to really show off your skills somehow with either some really good freelance or company work or like full-time job work, or I don't want to say how awesome I am, but something like maybe a YouTube channel or some sort of education thing that shows that you know these things pretty well. You wanted to ask, what other course do I recommend besides IBM Data Science? I assume this was asked before I answered that pathway question, but the pathway down below, I'm just going to summarize, or I'm just going to state it as that is what I would recommend on Coursera for sure. You're doing the deep learning nano degree, okay? It's only missing the last task to complete. Well, that's great. Uh, what? Why are you talking about drugs again? What kind of drugs do you think are good for data? Am I missing something? Like, chat, is there? That's the second. It's the same person. Yeah, I must be missing something. I want to know your answer to the same question. I'm so confused. Okay, people. So I hit the bottom of the list, and there's traffic's bumping up and down. It just went up quite a bit for a moment, and so please, give me something, give me some nice questions to work with. Otherwise, I'm just gonna talk about the first thing that comes off the top of my head, which is. Oh, there we go. I'm also on Bootcamp for data science. Okay, there we go. I can talk about boot camps. It's not a bad idea. So I'm also learning. I'm also on Bootcamp for data science, learning pandas. I assume you mean actually the data science. If I remember the name of that data science Bootcamp, that's actually a website, isn't it? Data camp. That's a thing. I'm not sure if that's it. Um, so boot camps in general, which I have a very mixed opinion on. Actually, that's a better question, Ushen. Not better question than what Pharaoh asked. Just better than what I was going to start talking about. But essentially, I just want to summarize that these boot camp ideas, often you can basically pay a lot of money to really drill in your head and force you. No one really makes you do work, but it gives you a strong feeling like you have to do a lot of data science work in a short period of time. And really, I'm just going to say if you need the inspiration to do that, then there's an issue there. You shouldn't really be paying for inspiration. You should be paying for material. And you don't have to pay for material. You have to pay for certifications if you want those. But free material is in the description down below, which I'd recommend much before any sort of bootcamp or a lot of these different websites. I'm really not a huge fan. I've checked out some of them. I don't know all of them. But I would really stick with the Coursera route down below, because that's what interview people. It's also a matter of just talking about what people know, and that's how to resonate with interviewers, is to talk about the things they like. And so if you go and talk about your Udacity or whatever it was nano degree, of course it's not like it's not reputable. It's reputable. But a lot of people won't know these things. And I go into interviews, or at least I used to, go into many interviews and start talking about the engineering machine learning course and how awesome it was and how inspirational it was, and then the history of these things. And you're just not going to have that same sort of reaction with interviewers, which ultimately are who decide if you get the job or not, which should be very important to make them happy in all regards. And so that's a big reason why I like the Coursera pathway down below. Of course, it is mostly about the content and the validation of the certifications as well, which is why I'd recommend that over a lot of these other pathways. Um, can you? Okay, can I actually kick you? I'm really tired of the drug thing. Um, Remove comment. Put user in time. I don't know what I just did. I think I made it so it takes longer for you. There we go. Delete it. I'm tired of the drugs question, man. Like I just joked about it the first time, but not happening. Um, Dear Greg, any suggestions for PyTorch? Oh, 300 seconds. There we go. Dear Greg, any suggestions for PyTorch courses? So I'm not a PyTorch user. I have gone very far into the TensorFlow ecosystem, so far into the TensorFlow/Keras ecosystem that I'm importing modules that don't really work yet because it's so new. That's at work anyway. Every single thing that I've done is in TensorFlow, and you can get by very well with that. Nonetheless, there's been a couple talks vaguely about why we might want to switch to PyTorch at work, and so I'm not going to say that this is a bad idea whatsoever. PyTorch is a very well-known framework for this. So, do I know any materials for running PyTorch? Honestly, I actually don't really. I don't have much recommendation there, so I'm going to move on. Okay, so I heard your answer about freelancing and data science. Yep, I just want to add another question, which is, can you work remotely as a data scientist In the US is what I think what you're saying. On the us, it looks like in the United States if you're not living there. The answer is probably, but not necessarily. It's really a job particular situation. Maybe Nvidia is happy with you working remotely in a different country, but maybe this other smaller company is not. They wanted you to move there. They may or may not pay for you to fly there. They Did I just get another donation? I don't see Arshia, another dollar. Wow, what a great day. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate that. Um, so yeah, I always get distracted by donations. Um, yeah, so some companies, you can apply all over the place. It may or may not say in the job description already that you are able to work remotely and you're in the country you're currently in. It'll probably ask you the same question over and over again, or every job will say like, are you able to work in the US currently? If not, like, are you able to move there if requested? Nonetheless, remote is going to be more and more common, and companies like it because it's, they like and dislike it. There's obviously pros and cons. I'm not just going to say they like it, but they like and dislike it. They like it because it is cheaper for them for the most part to just, if you already have a computer, you can just use that. If you don't, then they'll give you one and they'll take it back later, and it doesn't cost them much at all. So yes, they probably will be fine with that. Dear Greg, oh, I already read that one. Wait, is that the same question? I think it's a different PiTorch question. No, it's the same PiTorch question. Do I recommend a master's degree? Great question. I do have a video on it if you want to watch that video. It's probably a better answer than I'm about to give, but I'll give the answer. Do I recommend master's degree in data science since you're in Canada? I am in Canada. What schools do you recommend for master's in data science? Yeah. So why is Sean Mendes here? I'll get to that shortly. So do I recommend a master's in data science? Yes or no? Possibly. Sorry, I can't say yes or no. I can say that it's a good option. So the word recommend is a tough one because it means, do I think it is the right option? I can't say yes or no. Is it a good option if you choose to do so? 100%. You will not it will not make any problems in your life. It'll only add to it. Nonetheless, it is, to summarize my response in that video, it's a lot of time. Like it's just so much time. I work with people right now that are in master's programs. It's not just doing courses. It's not, you have to TA. I think you have to TA, which means help out with courses, and it's just it's so much work. I've seriously, I've seen my friends at work do this, and they are in some of them a crazy amount of stress because of these master's programs. Not all of them are like that, but a lot of them are. So I'm talking about someone that goes to Waterloo University, which is what I'm in for undergrad or just finishing, and that's a lot of work. Master's is even crazier. So obviously that's one of the schools that I would recommend if it's a lot of work. Yes, it's a lot of good work, and they are an extremely smart person, not just because of that, but that did help for sure. So what other schools would I recommend? I would say University of British Columbia, University of McGill, and Ottawa are pretty good. Toronto is the one that I would assume everyone watching has heard of. So of course I'd recommend that for Canada. In the United States, I don't really have to say it. They're extremely well-known schools, and so if I said MIT or Stanford, I don't think anyone would be surprised. Of course, don't worry too much about the particular university. Most of them are fine. There's some of them that I can see would be kind of confusing. We get advertisements even in Canada here about our master's programs that are kind of pretending to be really good, but they really aren't. Really stick with the names, and for the most part trust the internet reviews and publications that are official about these universities actually being good options. but yeah, not I don't necessarily recommend it because if you want to do something like what I'm doing right now, like a YouTube channel, I would assume most people here are for getting a data science job, and so a master's helps that. But even then, if that's not the thing that massively interests you about data science, then learn it however you want to. Go get obsessed with Kaggle and solve a bunch of problems. Make a channel and start educating these things. Run a blog and start writing about these things. Whatever you want to do, just make projects. Make an awesome project that really impresses anybody if they read it. Basically, your whole resume can just be like a project that not like actually that it looks like. Not that your whole resume should look like one project, but the main point, they should read it and be like, okay, that's fantastic. I'm gonna interview this guy. That really might be all it takes. Or sorry, this guy or this girl. So do whatever you want to do. Really is always my suggestion. Where was I? You're very welcome. Yes, since you are in, yep, that's what I just read. Thank you for providing amazing videos. You're very, very welcome. What are some upcoming projects due in your channel? I'm glad you enjoyed those machine learning from scratch videos. S. Mendez. So upcoming projects due in my channel, I'm going to be doing a third video on that same from scratch series, which is like 30 40 minute videos, which are implementing machine learning stuff from scratch with no sort of prior information required. So you just go through it. It should hopefully all make sense because I explain everything all in one video. I'm gonna add onto that and talk about logistic regression probably soon. The idea of maybe implementing random forests, I'm not sure. Even I would have a little bit of difficulty right now, but probably could figure that out. Implementing from scratch, I would really be interested in. And the projects, so I'd like to delve a little bit more into computer vision for some of them. Maybe start talking about object detection and segmentation. I have some natural language processing learning to do myself. It's been a while since I've touched it, but that is on, at least I wouldn't say near future, like I would not expect that in the next few weeks, but the next few months is something that I would want to be doing. I would want to delve further into natural language processing. I don't think there's a ton of good materials for that, but it's so important to do. In projects in general, I think I just need to get more specific sometimes on my titles and focuses of videos, like imbalanced data set, for example. I did forecasting, which was great. I might actually add to my forecasting as well. Whew, okay. Do I think you can get, sorry, nope. What kind of questions can I expect from a deep learning, computer vision, and an interview? Okay, so basically, the kind of questions that you can expect on deep learning and computer vision. First of all, really make sure that you understand the concept of underfitting versus overfitting. You can explain it very, very well. And if you see graphs talking about loss functions and accuracy and errors, then you can explain that extremely well. Then after that, computer vision, they may they'll probably talk about CNNs. So do you know what transfer learning is? Do you know maybe the 2010 papers on or 2010s papers on VGG, ResNet, all of the fundamental CNNs, probably up to exception and not including anything after that, really, at least not yet. And they might ask you some vague ideas about error. So maybe what is the intersection over union for object detection? What kind of problems can you solve with computer vision? That kind of thing. How to optimize neural networks if they're doing poorly as well. How to manipulate data and deal with data sets. And they might ask you a Python question. Probably not get you to train any models. As ETL and SQL developer, is that an option to pursue career in data science? So ETL and SQL is really, that's more of an analytics role, which of course, I'm sitting beside this picture that says analytics here, so I'm part of that. But I mostly focus on the first two, data science and machine learning. Analytics, it looks like ETL and SQL more so is just for a base analytics role. Probably expect a little bit less money, but probably still fine. And it's still things that you need to know for sure in data science. By the way, I have a pretty recent video on the difference between a data scientist and an analyst, and I think that may be of interest here. So I would check that out. And it's absolutely an option to pursue in data science. It's fundamental required skills before going being a data scientist, but it's not really an option in data science, if that makes sense. To go with deep learning, what should be the learning roadmap? So down below, I don't know. I think I say if you're looking to become a data scientist, that's the deep learning roadmap. Seriously, for a data scientist, I say that you need to know deep learning. I strongly believe in that. And so that's the pathway to learn deep learning. Make sure you have a fundamental understanding of the ecosystem, IBM Data Science, Google Analytics, machine learning before touching deep learning, and then the deep learning specialization on Coursera is 100% the best option for you, in my opinion. And I have that in the description down below. Sorry, could you go over the ML projects for beginners? Okay, so make sure that you understand regression. Projects, I'm just going to basically switch that to the word tutorial because there's no projects that you need for beginners. You need to understand regression, binary classification, multi-class classification, the idea of underfitting and overfitting, loss functions and error, just making models, what supervised learning is, all of that stuff is really what you need to understand for machine learning as a beginner. And I should have most of that on my channel. If you can't find it, or if you don't like that, then go to Coursera down below instead. I recently joined Dutch Telecom, I guess it's a company, as a fresher for the role of data engineering. Okay. I'll be working on Apache Spark and SQL. Great job. Congratulations. So can you give me any advice, as this is my first job ever? Cool. Again, congratulations. That will be fun. That's going to be a great job. So if you're working on Spark, if you don't already know Spark, a lot of people actually work on Spark before they know it. I would watch my 2 Spark videos. So any advice, as this is your first job ever, don't worry. Seriously, this is absolutely everything in your job. Just don't give a crap. If you have a question, ask it. If you feel you really need to interrupt somebody while they're talking, even if they're above you, if you really think you need to, then I would say, sorry for interrupting you. I have to ask this question. Do that. Of course, don't do that too many times. Don't piss anybody off. But I'm saying, do what you need to do for you to succeed, both mentally. Mentally is pretty much everything. Make sure you're happy there by getting the support that you need. If you are feeling unsupported there, speak up. And I mean, of course, switch companies if it's not the right position for you at some point. If it's an internship, then yeah, suck it up no matter what it is, and enjoy it for what it is. Try to do what you can. But really, it's just like the world opens up and feels a lot better when you stop caring about what your boss thinks, and what, of course, you need to care about what they think and make them happy. But don't take it to the extreme, and just relax. Ask the questions that you need. Don't worry about them thinking that you're dumb. They know that you're not dumb. You look less dumb when you ask good questions. You look more dumb when you sit in the back and don't ask these questions. And work hard. Like, especially at the beginning, work very hard. I am doing great work. I know. No, I'm kidding. Thank you so much. As someone who has upwards of 7 years of experience in analytics, oh, that's awesome. Keep on and never stop. I do not plan on it. Thank you. I wanted to ask Simon Fraser University. Frack, I've heard of that. Is that in Canada or America? Simon Fraser is in British Columbia. Right. That's why I've heard of it. Arshia, if you're still here, do you happen to know? Because I actually don't have a strong opinion, although I can say that I've heard of it, which is a good sign, at least. And British Columbia would be awesome to live in. Thanks for the advice. You're welcome. For any recommendations on how to create a resume with no experience? Get experience. Like, if you mean a new experience, like job-wise, then okay. Then yeah, projects, certifications for your LinkedIn, just actually understanding this stuff well so that you know the right words to write on your resume and how to convey it properly. Um, it's not having experience is a tough one. Like it's just something that you go from being the person that doesn't have experience to very quickly the person that's like, okay, yeah, I get it, I have experience now, and it's just my resume is just easier to write. Like it just exists, and that's great. But don't worry, just really flex the things that people know. And that's why I definitely recommend this for anyone looking for a job, especially if you don't have professional experience, is to get those Coursera certifications, the first few, or any of the first few that I have in the description down below, because that's what these people know and that's how they learned all this stuff. So they are the interviewers, they are people that have probably learned their data science skills from Coursera. Quite seriously, I'm not making that up. I've talked to many employers about that being true, and many companies are literally partnering with Coursera to offer their content to the company for free after you're an employee there. So they know this stuff and they like it. So that's why I really recommend doing this. And if you can highlight, if you can't, that's fine. Get the free, don't pay, and just get the free material down below. If you can't, that's totally fine. But if you can, I really recommend flaunting that on your LinkedIn resume and your resume, those certifications, because these employers actually know these things and like, oh yeah, okay, he doesn't have experience. Or he or she doesn't have experience. That's totally fine. I'll give them an interview because they've learned these skills, and I'll see if they actually absorbed the material quite well. And if you did, then you have a pretty good shot. Again, I do want to add a caveat that I don't want to say that as soon as you get these certifications on your LinkedIn that you're going to be bombarded with responses. I wouldn't expect that. You still have to focus a lot on the presentation of your resume, like both actually visually as well as the way it reads, and just having the right skills on there so that people are interested in you, as well as literally just applying a lot, because it's a probability game. You know, if 100 other people had a good resume, don't be sad that they didn't pick your resume, because it's just a probabilistic chance that they happen to pick your resume. Of course, stand out as much as you can, and I do think those certifications add a fair amount. Why I should really just leave the cursor on what the question I answered recently was. Yes, I answered that. Yep. Is data science really just a hype? Nope. I'm asking this because I'm finding so much difficulty to find data scientists. Okay, post must mean job. It means job, right? Um, okay, so basically, it's okay. It's difficult, and as I just probably said in what I just said, um, finding a job as a data scientist is not the easiest thing. It's going to get probably a little bit easier in the next little bit because a lot of job opportunities are going to be opening up, especially after COVID ending, and it's just going to be a little bit of a bubble there. But it's just not easy. There's still a lot of people that are learning these skills, and you do have to stand out. So this has nothing to do with about it just being a hype, though. If you're having trouble, difficulty finding a job, that's because it's a little bit tough to get a job. There's not that many of them. There's a lot of people competing. You have to really stand out and do what you can. But that's not related to it being just a hype. It's not. Like it's really not. The applications of data science, particularly deep learning, like computer vision and natural language processing, are pretty easy to apply once you understand what's going on. And then you just kind of do what you need to do at the company, and they need people that know that stuff to do that. So not a hype. It's extremely powerful. What is Microsoft's approach to machine learning? I have no idea, Isaac. I don't. First of all, I don't really know what you mean by the question. Second of all, even if I did, I don't think I'd have a great answer. You're very welcome. You're very welcome. How often does a data scientist use deep learning? It's mainly used for RNNs and forecasting, or do a data scientist also do computer vision, etc. A data scientist it's a great question. So I didn't give that face because it's a silly question. It's not a silly question. I gave that face because I use deep learning. I personally use deep learning every single day since I started at this company. I've had a few jobs in this field. Well, not in this particular field. My computer vision job in healthcare, we use deep learning every day. In my previous job at Loblaw, the biggest grocery food chain They own pretty much all the grocery stores in Canada. They're optimizing a lot for like forecasting and regression type problems, and we use deep learning there because it's just powerful. Like it's just it can do so many different things, and it can do them well. So I use data science, or as a data scientist, I use deep learning every day. It's just a weird question. Not it's a weird question. I mean, it's a weird topic about how what does a data scientist really do? They do what the job description says that they do. So you have to read it, and it's like, okay, am I gonna do deep learning? You might. Am I gonna do like I think you should know deep learning as a data scientist. You're expected to know deep learning, whether you apply it every day or not. It's up to the company and the mission that you're really trying to solve there. But you probably can. Um, Thanks. Okay. Yep. Okay. So Arshia, you said you do know of Simon Fraser. Yeah. Okay. Great school. Oh, you said great school. Okay. And BC is a great place to live in. Okay, that's about the. I assume you know more than I do on that, and the intuition that I had seems to match up with what you said. So that's great. And you're very welcome for answering the question. So yeah, I think I'm getting a little bit tired. How long is it's been going for an hour? No, I think I'll stay around for maybe another half hour if that's okay. Maybe if you do have some questions that you want to ask, make sure you do that soon because I talk straight for like over an hour, so it's kind of tough to keep doing that. I would like to grab a quick drink and then I promise about another probably half hour or so before I sign off. I'll just be like maybe 1 minute. Guess who's back? Yeah, I did have some water. That's a good idea. Um, okay. So if people still watching, I really appreciate that. I hope you're having a good time. And if you could ask anybody just a question, general, specific, whatever you'd really like, and we can keep firing away. I guess I don't mind taking a quick. Oh, there we go. Okay. I was gonna say I don't mind taking a quick break, but I'm actually feeling pretty good, so I'm okay. Dens asked, I asked because I just got, what was your previous question? How often does a data scientist use deep learning? Okay. So I asked because I just got my very first job as a junior data scientist. Congrats. And the team I'm in is focused on augmented analytics. So far, there hasn't been much machine learning or deep learning. I have no idea what augmented analytics means. Is there an explanation on that? Is that a common term that I don't know? I don't know it. There hasn't been much machine learning, deep learning, which I'm more into. Well, that's awesome. I'm more into that too, and I completely agree. Um, you may have to take some initiative. So if I'm gonna take a guess that these companies probably, a little bit older people that are obviously still trying, staying as current as you can. But these bigger companies, if it is, they do generally stick with a more analytics based approach than machine learning, and they're more transitioning to machine learning. It's a little bit slower to push these types of initiatives. And so I would not be opposed to, no, okay, I'm saying that in a weird way. I would suggest to you to maybe suggest this machine learning model if you think there's a good idea here. Give good reason why this would solve a particular problem that they're having, and then say, I mean, I'm sure if you're saying that, then they'd kind of assume that you know how to make it yourself. So go ahead and do that. And deep learning, yeah, same thing. Like say, yeah, this is you're having this problem. Are you sure is there anywhere in the database where we have this information, where we can, do a computer vision problem? We can do natural language processing if there's text, any sort of regression or forecasting. And I mean, I don't want to get you in trouble at your job, so be careful about what you do, but feel free, if you can, to just do stuff by yourself. Like, just if you think there's a machine learning model that could be helpful, just make it if you can. Like, it depends the environment that you're in. But hopefully you can do that. Like, if it's something like Databricks, where you can just kind of do what you want in there, or if you have access to an SQL database and you can kind of download that information locally to your computer or play around with it on some other cloud system, then just go ahead and make your machine learning models. So if there's only one project you could put on your resume, what project would that be? Well, so it's tough basically. So my project, if we're going to use the word project, my project is YouTube. It's something that it's an answer that probably everybody here will get annoyed at me saying, but I have to say that it's something that seriously that you really stand out with. Like I'm pretty much just not known by everybody, but known by employers now as the YouTube guy. My current job is people know me as like the educator and the communicator. So that's the project that you want to put on your resume, not necessarily YouTube. It's what makes you you and what makes you interesting. So if what makes you you is the person that built this fantastic self-driving car component at a team, and you can describe the entire process of what went on there, then you're that person. If you write blogs, and lots of people do, and it's a great thing to do, they get a lot of traffic with programming because often people don't want to watch an hour-long video of my tutorial. Sometimes you just want to go ahead and copy paste some code that you're looking for. And so if you could be the person that your project, I know it's not the term that'll light up people's eyes, but I have to be honest, these project things, it's just stuff that makes you you. So I like YouTube. You might like blogs. You might like working on a self-driving car in a team or something like that by yourself. Maybe you've learned all you can about natural language processing, and your project is simply that you know a bunch of techniques and you've tried it on a bunch of different things. Or maybe it's one actual project that you just spent years and years or months on to try and figure out. So I can't give that answer. I can't give the answer that lights up your eyes and says, "Oh, okay, Greg recommends that I build an object detection model that's already been done on the internet, and you copied and pasted some code, and that's the project that you put on your resume." I probably wouldn't. I would say that you've done that before, maybe, but you have to make yourself you. Like the certifications and stuff, they really help, boost up your LinkedIn, both from a searching point of view, because people like to search out, like employers actually go on there, or recruiters go on there, and they ask for jobs. It's not a flex, seriously, with the search traffic that goes for me. Like I get an offer, or at least an interview request fairly often, and I'm not saying you can do the exact same unless you put a lot of effort into your following, but it is kind of tweaks like that where you boost up your resume online and you build a better LinkedIn, and you'll be more searchable and more approachable. And if there's something in particular that really makes you stand out on that LinkedIn, like you have a YouTube channel, you wrote 2 blogs, you did this computer vision thing, then that's what it is. So I'm sorry I can't give you the great answer that you really want, but that's the one that is the honest opinion that I have. And I seriously mean it, that more simpler, less scary techniques to boost up your resume are the certifications down below in the video description right here. It would probably help. Okay, well, I think a lot went on. Yes, that's great. Lots of questions since I last, since I was answering that, so that's great. Is it necessary to do masters in order to pursue a career in data science? An interesting question, which I actually didn't get to. I forgot about that piece of the answer last time, so I appreciate that. I'm not sure if you were there when we talked about this about 45 minutes ago. Um, but yeah, it can be necessary. Remember, it's always really weird because these requirements, and you kind of grow up thinking they're requirements or requirements, and it's like, oh, I have to do this, and it's actually very, very rarely true. Even if it says on paper that you need a master's, you might, as in like the computer might literally reject you if you don't have this. And so for FANG companies, sorry, manga. I assume most of you know why I'm saying that now. Facebook changed their name to Meta like yesterday or 2 days ago. Um, and so those level companies, then they actually generally do require, I want to put in air quotes every time I say require, a master's, and many other jobs as well may require a master's as well. That required may or may not be true. Um, but for the most part, I mean, actually, it's pretty common to see that companies rather that you have a master's. So I'm not going to say it's rare, but there's definitely a lot of opportunities without getting a master's that you'll be able to get lots of jobs as well. Okay. So oh, thank you. So augmented analytics is more or less automating autom yeah, automating the analysis by machine learning and artificial intelligence. The current project is about creating insights. It's about automating the analysis of machine learning. So you make a machine learning model, it's running, and it's automating how machine learning is the models are performing. Okay, if I interpret that properly. Hello, Rihan. Can I list out some resources for a beginner in data science and machine learning? Absolutely, just check out the pathway down below. I really, really highly recommend that, as well as I'll give a quick summary. Elements of statistical learning / introduction to statistical learning, the latter being easier, are great books that are actually free on the internet. There's the 100-page machine learning book, which is actually also sort of free on the internet. I mean, sort of, not as in like you can pirate it for free. Like it's kind of written in there that says like you don't necessarily need to pay for this book unless you want to. And what else is there? Yeah, that's really what I would recommend to most people is those resources. Can I list out some projects? Well, actually, no, not quite there yet. How can I start my data science career without any degree? Follow the pathway down below. Follow the pathway down below. To both of those, actually, that's the same question without dots. um, oh, without any, you specified college degree. Yeah, no, seriously, if you're learning data science, just follow my pathway in the description. That's really, really what I would recommend. Can I list out some projects which we can include in our resume to get into a company as a refresher? Nope. Sorry. I really can't. And I'm sorry if that's why you guys are listening. And you want to hear me tell you what project to put on your resume to get a job. I cannot do that. Nonetheless, I'll get, and it's not because I don't want to, it's because that just doesn't work. And so the reason is because if I listed out some projects for you to put on there, that would mean I'm listing stuff that's already been done before and is a very common thing to do. Like, what would I could list something like make a forecasting model. Yeah, that would probably help. It would help for sure. It's been done before and it's not super flashy, but it would help. Like with LSTM or GRU predicting the stock market, that would help. You could go with computer vision and you would make a classifier that could, some new classifier that doesn't exist, like something on trees, for example. I don't know, a particular one. There's something probably better than what you would do, although not necessarily. That would help, yeah, but it's probably still been done before as well. So yeah, these are all projects like different domains that come off the top of my head as things that prove that you know what you're talking about, and they're relatively interesting. But it's really, really up to you to think about something. You would do a lot of research and figure out like, no, this is not super common. Even if there's some research and this has been done before, I'm at least gonna add this thing. Like I'm gonna add some flair to it to do so. To give a less annoying response, and I apologize for the annoying one at first, that's just, it's really what I have to say there, because I think there's some confusion. Flask to make a website would be really helpful as a general idea. Streamlit is probably even easier than Flask, which with some pros and cons there. So deploying the main idea is what I'm not telling you projects to put. I'm telling you how to make projects to show to people for free. That's the idea. Because really, you don't want just necessarily just your GitHub, unless your GitHub is phenomenal, then that's fine. But definitely not just links to Jupyter notebooks. Like for all of my videos, I have a link to a Jupyter notebook because like I'm not really going out there and showing you how to build a self-driving car. I'm not showing you. Sometimes I will do something bigger, but for the most part, I don't do these huge, very lengthy projects to show you what to do. So that's up to you to make those to stand out. Okay. So is it really need to learn? Do you really have to learn all the concepts for data science, or can we choose any machine learning, deep learning, AR, computer vision specialization individually? You should choose exactly what interests you and nothing more. That's all I'm going to answer that question. Do what you want. Um, Hi, you work as a fund accountant. Good, I need an accountant. And starting to really hate. Well, that's not good. Never mind. I don't. Starting to really hate my job as my master was in economics. Okay, I'm feeling intimidated to learn data science slash analytics. A little bit afraid, however, of automation. Uh, are you afraid of automation? Like if you're gonna lose your job that you don't like? I don't know what you mean by that. Um, but so if you're hating your job, then obviously a lot of people hate their job, so you're not alone there. Do what you have to do to make money in the meantime, but make sure that you're working towards getting away from that if that's not something that you want to be doing. So if you really like data science, then I recommend the Coursera materials down below. They're great for chipping away at it. Of in the order that I have, 5 minutes a night, and an hour a night if you can, just to get these concepts down. It'll work over time. You'll get better and better. You'll magically find ways to apply them in your job. I almost promise, because they're very broad programming and data techniques, and you could probably switch over. Uh, do as much as you can. Don't stress yourself out too much, but work hard on those materials down below, and I really think that would help. Uh, that's my opinion. You have a physics degree. Cool, Raul, I think. Is it necessary that I need to do certifications or courses on programming languages in general? Things like inheritance and classes are basic for jobs or get hired. Um, Okay, so basically the idea, and sorry, my thoughts on IBM data science certification is worth it. Yes, I would probably recommend it. Um, is it necessary? No. Would it help many things? Yes, it probably would. I have a physics degree. Is it necessary to do certifications on programming, like like general programming? So I mean, I'm wearing a Python hat because I know Python pretty well. It's not like a flex. It's like for data science, often people say like, do you have to be that good at programming? No, I guess not in particular. But I mean, once you actually start working at a company, they're gonna expect you to be able to code pretty well. And stuff like inheritance. I, I use inheritance. These are just kind of object-oriented programming concepts for everybody to understand. And is it important to learn them? I think you should learn them for sure. Should you get certifications on them? Doesn't hurt. Doesn't hurt at all. They're techniques that you use all over the place. but it's more things that I use like passively, like since I understand, since I can read the TensorFlow code and see that they're like subclassing this, and the idea of classes, yeah, you should know what they're talking about, although you might not really need to be so up to date. Like there's a lot of things that like I've learned in the past, remember the main ideas from, which is important, even though at the time you studied like the really nitty gritty details. It's good to go over those nitty gritty details so that later you can have like some amount of understanding that left over from that. And if you need to go into the details again, sometimes you do, then it would be a lot easier the second time as well. So, do you need certifications on that? Doesn't hurt. Anything really doesn't hurt. Um, do I think it's super important for general programming? Somewhat important, maybe like a 5 out of 10, and the data science ones are much higher on the ratings for me. Yes, it is worth it. Who? Did you ask another question earlier? I don't remember, Vivek. Did I see your name? I don't remember. I don't know why there's a 2 there. Currently using TensorFlow, but now PiTorch is also coming? What do you mean? PiTorch is coming. Like, you're learning PiTorch? Should I continue with TensorFlow or switch to PiTorch? I think you are. So, are you suggesting that PiTorch is rising in popularity over TensorFlow? Because if that's true, I'm not sure if that's true. It's a little bit of a stretch to say anything in certainty about that being true. Uh, but should you switch? Not unless you have a good reason to, quite honestly. TensorFlow is fine. It does very close to everything that PyTorch does, although there's some specific reasons why you might want to switch, but no, it should be fine. Um, okay, and yeah, I'm getting a little bit tired, so I want to just say if there's any important questions that you want to ask here, then I'd love to listen. I'd love to respond to those quickly. I'd like to drop off pretty soon, just because it's a lot of talking for me and it's difficult. And I really appreciate everyone. If you are going to drop off right now, by the way, I really appreciate everyone asking your questions. I hope it helped. I really did hope I helped. Um, and I really appreciate your support for the channel in particular, for the somehow $10 total of revenue there, of donations is really appreciated. That is, it's really nice of you to do that. So thank you. You're very welcome, Abel or Abel. Not sure which one it is. Greetings from Mexico. Hello. So do I have to say it more? No, I'll just come. I'll just come out wrong if I start saying something like that. Abel. Um, yeah. Okay. I'll just kind of wait like a nice minute if any interesting questions come up. And by the way, if you haven't dropped a like on the live stream yet, I would really appreciate you doing that now. It helps a lot. Okay, heard you saying data analytics being useless. No. I must have heard me wrong then. I did not say that. I'm on the course 3 out of 8 from Google Data Analytics course on Coursera, but lost motivation after watching your video. What is it? There is no way I have a video saying that data analytics is useless. Did I really? Like that does not make sense to how I've run this channel for since it started, and that's not my mindset. So I'd be surprised if I said it's useless. Can you clarify what I actually said there? Yes, it's still worth learning. The video where you were ranking Coursera courses. Um, yes, I do talk about it there. I There's no way I said useless, right? Like I might have put it lower in the rankings, uh, but do you know what I happen to have said? Please answer. Please answer what? All right, well now I'm just confused on multiple levels. There's a I don't think I said that, Tom. If I did, I misspoke because analytics is not useless. Do not do not feel like the Google Data Analytics course is a waste of time. I said probably 10 times throughout this live stream that it's a good option. I do slightly think the IBM Data Science is a little bit better. Google Analytics is a great start if you're on your journey, and it's something from Google that on your LinkedIn says that I have a certification from Google. So I do not think it's a waste of time whatsoever. I don't know, Vivek, what you mean by please answer what. You asked a question and I answered your question. You were saying that it's not so mentally challenging or something. I might have. Oh no, sorry. I'm not. No, no, don't worry. I'm not mad at you or anything. I'm trying to clarify for like there's a lot of people watching and I want to make sure. Just be, please be very careful when you say something like me saying something for sure, because like it's other people will assume that that's true, which it is. It's just you accidentally saying something, which don't worry about. I'm not mad or upset or anything like that. Don't worry. Just try to be careful about what you say. Um, I don't think it's useless. I may have said something about it. It is a little bit mentally less challenging, to be honest, analytics, because it's you have to learn SQL and maybe something like Tableau or Python for basic visualization. And you get really into the interesting stuff, in my opinion, when you go down the deep learning and machine learning route. That's when you start making more money because it's more a lot more problems and harder problems you can solve. I think it's more of a fun job for you to have because you're solving more interesting problems. And just training models, in my opinion, is a lot more fun than doing analytics type work. But all of those skills are necessary by data scientists, and that's why I have the pathway of like, if you're looking to learn data science, I highly recommend this pathway in my video description. I would do that. And one of the first things, if I don't have Google Analytics on there, I forget if I do or not. I thought I said IBM or Google. I might have just put IBM to steer you in the direction I want to be, but Google's fine as well. And um, yeah, like it's necessary. Those are necessary fundamental skills as a data scientist. What I use every day. I use SQL to query databases. I use visualization tools to make a PowerPoint and show what I'm talking about, or make a pretty notebook so that people can actually follow what I'm doing and visualize it well. So, no, you will send your CV. You know what? Sure. Actually, go for it. Sabine, sorry. Um, Send me, and I see that there's a question above. Don't worry, I'll get to those. Can you give me your yes, I can. It's actually it's fine. I can just write it here. It's pretty public anyway. Greetings from Israel. Oh, Mike. Yes, thank you. So you can see Mike has this weird, actually default. Sorry about it being a default symbol, Mike. Symbol because he's a member of the channel. So if that's something you're interested in, either for support or something else, then I would really appreciate that as well. So that's awesome. Sorry for. I know that you're really not looking for that attention, Mike. You're just being a nice person, and then I'm making you come across as some super special. I'm not trying to do that, but I really appreciate it. Greetings from Israel. Hi, Israel. You're very welcome, Mike. Should I learn Microsoft Excel deeply? No, you should know how it works. You should, or for actually, sorry, for data analytics, yeah, you probably should, because the job that you're gonna get is probably a little more steered towards and like a little bit older, just more simpler tools in my opinion. Excel is great. I'm not mocking Excel, and I'm not a super big expert in it because I just prefer manipulating data in Python and Pandas data frames than doing it in Excel. I think it's just a better ecosystem to be in, a lot more flexible, a lot more versatile. Once you learn the skill, it's a lot more applicable in multiple places. But for data analytics, almost certainly you're going to get into your job, and they'll be using Excel a lot, like a lot, possibly forever. I don't know how long it's going to last, but yeah, would not be a bad decision whatsoever. Sabine, if you wouldn't mind telling me when you've sent that email, because I don't think I probably have all notifications turned off. I'll take a look at that. And also, Sabine, please tell me, would you like me to what exactly would you like me to do to review your resume? Because I don't want to do anything like give away any sort of information. Even if you accidentally send me like your address, I will make sure that I block that out before I put that on a live stream. But if you could please, if you would be okay with it, I would really prefer permission to show the CV on the screen so we can go through and I can explain that, and that'll be a really good lesson, really good help for everybody watching today. You have sent your CV. Okay, yeah. Tell me exactly what you would like me to do with it before I start showing that. If you don't ever want it on the screen, I would prefer it if it's possible, but I understand if not. Okay, above here, so, sorry, I got a little bit out of order. What do I think is more important? Learn how to clean data sets or learn how to build machine learning models? Yeah, so there's this whole thing that really pisses me off about data cleaning being this huge task when it's almost entirely just drop the null rows. And I'm not like mad at you or anything like that. It's like just there's this, I don't know when it started, but there's even when I joined the ecosystem, it's like, oh yeah, make sure you understand data cleaning, and then people on resumes or people on like interviewers will ask, not interviewers actually, like HR will put on these job requirements that they know data cleaning, and data cleaning is like, it's literally cleaning data, like it's what it sounds like it's in Excel. If the addresses are in the wrong format and you can't do it automatically, then you clean it. If you are missing data, then it's knowing what to do with missing data, which is a bit of a statistics weird kind of question. With if any of you know the advanced term called expectation maximization, that's often what's being done to maybe basically interpolate to fill data in there. Or most commonly, data cleaning is dropping the rows that have something missing because we need complete pieces of data to do that. And so that's the best. If we have enough data already, it doesn't really hurt that much to just ditch it. So you learn the 2 steps there is for data cleaning, and then you start learning machine learning models is much more important. Okay, what skills are needed to become a data engineer? I'm just going to answer quickly because I think there's a lot of things going on right now. Spark is your biggest friend for data engineering. So Python, the programming language itself, know pretty well. And Apache Spark, specifically PySpark. I have 2 videos that will greatly help you out there. Go ahead and learn those. They're very beginner friendly. Okay, should I learn Microsoft? Yeah, so I read that. What kind of problems do data analysts solve in fintech companies? Well, I mean, they solve fintech related questions. So, like, is there fraud in this financial transaction? How do we make more money is what everybody's asking. I don't really know too much about how to answer that. It would be interesting problems, though. The like reinforcement learning trading bots. There's a lot going on right now in like hedge funds, those types of companies. Okay, looking for a thesis topic, and I can't really help too much on a thesis topic. I'm sorry. There's so many different options. Can I give you feedback? I am okay. You can show. Okay, perfect. To screen. Yes, thank you. I appreciate you clarifying that. And Raul, I will answer that question probably right after I do this resume review. Okay, so everybody's, again, I'm sorry for pronouncing your name possibly wrong, Sabine, or I'm going to call you Sabine, has very, very kindly asked or given me permission to show his resume or CV in front of everybody live. So give him a pat on the back for having the courage to do that, because I think, yeah. Sorry, I was just looking at the picture to make sure I'm not saying anything totally wrong. So yeah, that is awesome, and let's now take a look at that. That'll take me a couple seconds to pull up. I think that's the email that I'm not automatically logged into on here. So Oh. Almost showed you my email. Yep, showed you my email. That's okay. Okay, so there we go. I like the nice subject of my CV. Okay, it's probably going to open automatically on that front screen anyway. Yes, let me just move that over. Okay, I'm okay to show on the screen. Well, you gave me permission, so I guess I won't worry. I just really want to make sure that you're not missing something that I don't want to show in front of everybody. Looks fine. Okay, so let me just pull up. Sorry, got a lot of tabs going on, trying to take a look. Okay, so is that, wow, did you just teach me what CV actually stands for? Is that, let me Google that. What does I didn't even know. What does CV stand for? It is curriculum vitae. I did not even know that. I've never seen that before. Seeing that written at the top, that's actually pretty funny. You don't have to have that written at the top. You could just, I would probably make that your name instead. It almost looks like this is your name at first. Okay, so by the way, before I just want to really cover myself before I say anything. Everything I say, whether it's positive or negative, should be taken very lightly. Do not take it personally. I am very critical about resumes, and I'll pick on pretty much everything. So I really appreciate the courage. Tom, thank you for becoming a member of support. I really appreciate that. Thanks so much. Okay, and since you did that, so can you please solve a real world problem live or a long video, please? You know what? Sure. I can't promise that quickly. I cannot say like it's so much work for me to do that. Nonetheless, I think that is a good thing to do. So absolutely, I will make sure that's done. How many months should I just stick to? Okay, sorry. Okay, I'll stay concentrated. So firstly, I don't think this is quite necessary. If you just added that now, then okay. Otherwise, yeah, I would probably just make that your name, and then this part is fine. Proficient knowledge is a very strong thing to say. So I feel like I'm pretty good at some things, and I will not say that I'm proficient in Python because I I don't think I'm proficient in Python, even though I could code pretty much anything you wanted me to. So it's just it's it makes it come across as if you're trying to sound a little better than you actually are. Like if I when I read proficient knowledge in physics, by the way, I would make sure I can tell that there's some spacing issues here, and that's actually the number one most important thing in a resume is just looking good and professional. So I would make sure that that looks better. And let me know, by the way, if it actually looks different when I'm viewing it over here than you see it. But it's a PDF, so it should be the same. So proficient in physics, math, statistics, and programming. I would only put that if you're confident that you could answer any question that I could ask. Well, okay, that I could ask. Whatever. I couldn't ask many great questions about physics. But if you could answer any question from interviewers about that stuff, I'd be worried about that. Active learner is a given. Like if you are actually an active learner, and I'll try to zoom in on this even more. Um, Active learner is assumed, and if you're not, then you know that's an issue. So I don't think that this is necessary. A self-motivated individual with strong interpersonal and communication skills. By the way, if anyone wants to do for your resume what I'm doing right now, then absolutely send me an email. I have my email somewhere in the chat there. It's greg.hog1@outlook.com. If you feel the courage to show your resume, then absolutely go ahead. And you can get rid of any information that you want. Okay, so self-motivated individual with strong interpersonal communication skills. It's not always the worst thing to write this, especially because some resume screening programs do kind of look for these types of keywords, although they're never really going to publicize what keywords in particular they're using. There is some weird online tools to check that, but they're not great. And so I wouldn't really worry about this too much. So quite honestly, my suggestion is delete this whole section right here. It's just kind of assumed. We'll have I'm sure that if you know physics, you have some information or some education in physics, and we'll see that later. So don't worry too much about that. I would highly recommend just killing the section and starting with skills, because you usually start with skills anyway. Technical is Python, machine learning, MongoDB, SQL, Tableau, Linux, Pandas, NumPy, SciPy, Matplotlib, Plotly, Git, Seaborn, Git. There's nothing wrong with this, actually. I would do something pretty similar. Maybe fix up the spacing, because I definitely like spacing after commas for better readability. These whole mess of libraries is sometimes a good decision, sometimes not. Usually I just go with whatever happens to look good, and this maybe looks a little bit too long of a list, so I might take one or two out. I'd probably take Seaborn out, unless you happen to really, really like Seaborn. I would change these three to one of either what the job says to get that keyword in there, or the one that you really prefer using yourself, and that's what most of your projects are in. English with I remember kind of what this is, but not too much. A certification for English. French is great, and Hindi. So yeah, I mean that's quite nice, actually. People really do appreciate that. It's important in companies to. It's not important to know other languages in companies, but if you happen to know it, I would absolutely recommend highlighting that. I don't know what M2 is. Data Science and Artificial Intelligence, University of Grenoble. Okay, that's great. So 21. Right. Oh, does M2 mean masters? I'm also gonna try and follow the chat. It looks like most people are just watching, and obviously not asking questions right now, which makes sense. M2 Physics, University of Grenoble. Yeah, 13. Is that a link? I don't know what that is. Oh, sorry. Bold is the like GPA, basically. Okay. Master Financial Engineering, World Quant University. Well, you have a lot of education. See, here's the thing. Okay, so most employers, this is going to sound really rude, and seriously, just don't worry about what I say, and don't take it personally. Take it with constructive feedback. Most employers would have looked at this, and say this looks a little bit weak, and like they're trying to sound better than they are. But then your education is phenomenal. Like it's really great. That's awesome to show. No matter who you are, it doesn't matter what job you're trying for. This is really, really great. They know that you're at least a hardworking and talented individual. And unique. This looks very unique to me. So I would definitely recommend ditching this, keeping this either at the top, or probably skills. I still I would like to see skills, but looks a little bit prettier at the top. And then education. I usually put education at the bottom, but to be honest, this education is very, very strong, and so I might be okay with that location of it. France Mobile Sales Analyst. Okay. I assume France Mobile is a company I haven't heard of. Sales Analyst is, okay, to track sales. Okay, first of all, the way you're writing this, I wouldn't recommend. I would say either tracked or, I guess I'd probably do past tense and say tracked, tracking, probably tracked sales, and help in digital marketing to increase sales by 41%. Designing and implementing design. Okay, so I really like this, and here's how I would fix this. Is I would change. This is fine. France Mobile, comma, sales analyst. By the way, everywhere that you have a comma and then word, what I just do. I would very, very highly recommend putting a space after all of those. So this would sound, imagine the same thing, but it reads like this. France Mobile Analyst, because sales analyst is, I would honestly, when I heard sales, I started to bring in my bias and start to judge the idea of sales a little much. I would probably say France Mobile, either data analyst, something like that, rather than sales analyst. Unless you're purposely really trying to keep the same title that you were given, but I find that that's usually not necessary, and I would rather just change them a little bit to what it's actually true, and a little bit more towards what you're actually trying to show. So to track, imagine this: France Mobile data analyst, tracked sales and assisted in digital marketing, which boosted sales by 41%. That's the same sentence, but reads a lot better than to track sales and help in digital marketing, decrease sales by 41%. And again, I'm not trying to mock English or whatever. I'm a very particular about English and trying to be very, very strong in educating that, as well as I'm sure you are as well. These are just my critiques that might help in that. Designed and implemented strategic sales plan to boost sales. This is the classic. The exact same sentence is what the first sentence is, written in the same way. Don't think that's going to get around me. You very obviously wrote the exact same thing because you wanted a second bullet, and so you wrote different words. I get it. It's tough to come up with a different sentence sometimes. I think this is a very strong first sentence. I would try desperately to come up with some other type of sentence other than a rephrase of the same idea. Okay, something else that's possible. I'm not sure. I don't see any links in this. Oh, there's one. Okay, actually, okay, I'll get that then. That looks good. I'll shut up. European. Yep, see, impressing me. European synchrotron radiation facility internship. Oh boy. Yeah, see, this is great. Use Python and MongoDB to extract information from ISPYB database. That's great, and it shows your skills. It is a tad boring. It's like I got data from a database. Like, why'd you need the data? What'd you do with the data? Did you make an automated procedure that automated a process using Python and MongoDB to do something? Helped scientists. Not huge on the phrasing here, so maybe assisted the scientists by extracting, again, the same word. Be pretty careful about doing the same thing twice. Extract information regarding sample screening and statistics. See, here we go. So basically, this is just a more detailed version of this, where this one's trying to show skills, but this one's trying to show read well and be more interesting. So I think there's a way to refactor this so that it reads well. And Quantium Data Analytics project work, actively taking part in data cleaning and discerning unusual patterns present in data. Prepare data dashboard. I think dashboard's one word. Prepare dashboard for dashboard. Kind of confused by that. And I won't open up that link without you saying that's okay. Okay, so general thoughts. It's really strong if you look closely at it like I did. To be honest, most employers aren't gonna look at all this stuff. They're gonna get a very just quick look. They probably start top to bottom, start to automatically kind of get an idea of how they feel about it. And my feel was that this doesn't appear super well, and so I was not feeling amazing about, just about out of 10, about an appearance. I wasn't near a 10 for appearance for sure. But then as I'm reviewing it, I'm like, there's a lot of really good content in here. Like the education in particular is phenomenal. With some refactoring of how these sentences are presented, then this is a very strong resume. So great work. I know I'm mostly providing constructive feedback. There's not too much positive work. Quite seriously, a lot of really good, awesome work here. You're a very strong candidate. Just make sure that you practice and how you're saying these things. And then I'm a big fan. By the way, the actual general template, ignoring the particular spacing issues that I have with it, I really like the template. You have just some things at the top with how to reach you, the things that you'd want them to go to. You have these different underlined subtitles with lots of good white space in between different sections, bullets. It looks good. It's just the particular things. There's some things to go on, change there, and refactoring the sentences is probably, so first is just appearance, like here, and then the second biggest point is just refactoring to make everything sound very strong and not redundant. Redundant is very repetitive, is a little bit boring. Okay. So I hope that helped, not just you. I bet you it helped you, Sabine. By the way, thank you so much. Excellent job. I really appreciate your courage to let me sit here and like actually say what I think is wrong with it many times. And I hope that you didn't take anything offensively. I think you're doing a great job, and I really love all the effort that you put in and the courage for you to bring that up. So, if anyone would like to do the same, then by all means. I assume Sabine probably just got a ton of help for writing his resume, and I would definitely recommend that if that's something that you're comfortable in. And I am going to take a 1 minute break just to use the restroom, but I'll be right back. I was gonna cut off the live stream before, but with everybody watching, and I'm kind of excited about it right now, so I'm gonna stay on actually. So yeah, I'll be back in just like 1 minute. Anybody write in the chat if you send me an email, or just go ahead and send me an email. I will write my link there again, greg.hogg1 at outlook.com. If you'd like to send your resume, subtract the personal information that you don't want people to see, we can do the exact same thing for you, then by all means. I think it'd be very beneficial for everybody. I just randomly got a technical difficulty, so I'm not sure if you guys can hear me right now. If you can, oh, now I'm showing the wrong stuff. Um, is OBS here? My streaming software. Sorry, I don't know what just happened. Okay, whoa, why am I so close up? Okay, yep. Yeah, everyone's just watching me look around like an idiot. That's fine. Okay, so it doesn't look like I got any emails there or anyone saying they're going to send me an email. That's totally respectable. Don't worry. I completely understand why that's not something that you really want to do. And yeah, okay, that should be good. All right, so what we will do instead, I will answer the questions that are in the chat right now, and then probably after that, after those answers, I probably will log off for sure. Okay, so, what kind of problem? Yep. Okay, let's start there. So I'm trying to get hands-on data science from last 1 year, right? Okay, but I am not able to write code fully without Google. I can't write code without Google. Do you know how much I Google code? And you also know how much code I've written? Like seriously, like you just Google code, like how to write it. Because sure, I know Python code and I could build up lists and do a fair amount, but like if there's so much syntax, like code, the Python code itself, yeah, you should probably be able to write base Python code, like ignoring the libraries to do a lot of things. But as soon as you step into using any libraries like NumPy, pandas, like I Google so much pandas code. I've written a lot of it, but I just don't remember all the syntax. So that's totally fine. I wouldn't really worry that. I wouldn't really worry about too much about that. Um, okay, yeah, it's okay. Um, which way you consider is better to become a data scientist, or getting the nicest skills on machine learning and artificial intelligence? Do you think downloading PDFs and being self-taught is good? Well, I'm self-taught. Um, so almost entirely self-taught. Like the Coursera materials below. Like you know, I don't know if I mentioned it. You know why I recommend the Coursera pathway down below? It's because I did most of that. Not nearly as linear as it's written down there, although I recommend the linear pathway. I kind of zigzagged around different materials and always found that the Coursera ones are what provided me the most value. Um, but that's yeah, that material is free. Like you can go and just learn that. And then I recommend getting the certificates if you can because they help a variety of things. But the material is free, so just go do it. Go follow the pathway. Yeah, and of course, again, I don't like recommending my own YouTube channel too much, not because I don't think it's great, I think it's great, but because I don't like recommending my own content too much. Of course, I would recommend that as well. Okay, what do we got? Almost done. Could you please solve? Yes, I will. Tom, I will solve a real world problem, and it's tough. Real world problem. Like I know what you mean. I'll solve a difficult problem. I'll phrase it like that, and it'll be a long video. Yeah. So actually, Tom, the difficulty in doing that for me is actually not anything about making the video. Like I could obviously make up a project and it would be a lot of time for sure, but I think it'd be a video that does well, so that's important. And most importantly, would provide a lot of value for the people that did watch it. Um, the difficulty and scare for me is always when I start to incorporate a lot of different components. It's just some annoying copyright things for me when I have to make very, very certain about every website and like thing that I go to is actually entirely copyright free. So that's why a big reason why I kind of stick to these isolated tutorials that do solve particular issues or make you learn particular things. But I think that's something I need to do a little bit more of because that Flask video really was that. Watch that Flask video if you haven't already. That would be really the solution. Not the solution, but that would be an existing material that would interest you. But I would like to do that again. Which yes. Okay, how many months should I dedicate if I start from basics to get an entry-level job in data science? Well, I wouldn't expect a job in the first few months, probably after 4 months. And it's a very tough thing to do. Like you could honestly learn most of machine learning in like a month if you really sat down and you just drilled all these concepts into your head. They wouldn't quite, like render like super well in your mind, or at least not settle too well. Not necessarily. Maybe they would. So time is always a difficult question. But in general, I probably wouldn't expect you to be able to get an entry-level data science job until at least like 3-4 months time of a fair amount of effort towards learning and showing that you know these concepts. I want to say hi to you too, Nedwin. Hi. Can I make a lecture about the methods and tricks used for the feature engineering? That's on my to-do list for sure, especially for sparse data sets and time series data sets. So I did, yeah, it's a tricky one. So I think that's an important one to do soon, Mike, for sure. Pre-processing techniques. The issue is that it's very just it really is like a cluster of methods and tricks that you would use in particular scenarios. And of course, there's a general kind of flow to this. Like, am I okay with doing dummy categorical variables? Do I need an embedding? Which preprocessing method am I really going to use? So am I going to just divide by 255 or do a min-max scale or a standardization? And a lot of the choice is really just like whatever you feel like, because it's one of many, many hyperparameters that you need to change. And you can't really keep track of all these things and just change everything and see what works. So you often just kind of pick one, whether it's optimal or not. But I would like to make a general video about techniques that you would often employ in these commonly arising scenarios. Hello, Greg. You may ask me something. Yes, you may. Markins. I want to build a project for final graduation, but you want to build a possible chat log analyzer, okay? To calculate if in the conversation a person is predator. Whoa. Can I make it a digital and sent? Whoa. I hope you know how crazy this sounds, like what you're saying here. You want to build a project for your graduation, which is a chat log analyzer that checks if someone is predatorily abusive, and you want to make a friend. No, it's not bad English. It's just like a crazy idea. I get what you're saying. To build a project for graduation that it's check if someone is predatory abusive, and make it a digital forensic investigation and send to authorities. Like, this is crazy, man. I hope you know that. Make sure that that's something that provides you a very strong, very big amount of value before you actually do that. Can you? I mean, if you're asking, can you? Probably. But do you want to? That's a really big question. I like how we're just sitting on this CV. Okay, by the way, Acer, thank you for telling me you can hear me. I don't think I said that, but I really actually appreciate those comments that most people probably wouldn't be bothered to write. Okay, it's kind of funny to end there on that on that last question from Markins. Not to say it's a funny question. It's just a funny answer that I can give. So I hope that was a helpful live stream. We're on for a solid 2 hours. We had a nice resume critique in there. Sabine, I didn't hear from you after. So yeah, I was hoping to hear like some feedback after I critiqued your resume. Just let me know if you actually saw those, or like you heard that. And yeah, I hope that was helpful for everybody. Good session. Thank you so much. 35 likes on the live stream is, I would think, the most I've gotten before. A lot of new names today. A lot of old names. You know, I've definitely seen Tom and Mike, and yeah. Other than that, a lot of Arshia. Yes, I definitely know Arshia. And yeah, thanks so much. So if you could, if you have not dropped a like on the live stream, I bet most of you have, but if you haven't, I would really appreciate you doing that. It helps a lot for YouTube recommending this stuff. Oh, sorry, if you are too late. You really are too late. I was really just signing off here. Sorry about that. Arslan, I hope you, if you have a really quick question, then I can probably answer that. But yeah, so thank you so much, everybody. I really, really appreciate it. And I hope to see you next time. Yeah, you're very welcome. Is that a yes? You have a quick question about features? Drop a comment. Arslan, drop a comment on this, and I'll respond to it when I have time, okay? All right. Thanks so much, everybody, dropping off. Bye-bye.